Hari Om, welcome everybody again. Those joining online and those joining on Facebook. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Karpura Gauram Karunavataram Samsara Saram Bhujagendraharam Sada Vasantam Hridayaravinде Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami. Okay, let's begin by chanting the first two verses of our Sadhana Panchakam. Sadhana Panchakam. A copy can be picked up at the bookstore here at the ashram, or also at the Krishna Puja store in East Coast, in West Coast. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam So, where we left it off last time, in the second verse, or the second stanza of this Panchakam, 5 stanzas about the roadmap to spirituality, the steps that we should take to become free. In the second stanza, we pick up now the next 8 instructions. Each of the stanzas has 8 instructions. And Bhagavan told us that Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam, we must associate our mind, and we must associate physically in person with the right group. We must make sure our mind stays in companionship with all of the right ideals. It is essential for our transformation. And the opposite is also true. if we're in companionship with action movies and doom scrolling about whatever is there on the internet, then those things will become part and parcel of our tendencies, habits, worries, desires. They will become part of our personality. And actually, if you take stock of the vast majority of what is there on TikTok and YouTube Reels and Facebook, you can do this experiment and see. You can make a little log and just put the type of category of things that you're seeing. The vast majority of it will fall into the bucket relating to the body. It relates to how you look, how others look, or it always has an element of that. Or it has an element of comfort. Or it has an element of what would make you look better in society, how you could talk better, and all of that. It all falls in that bucket. The next bucket will be all about getting an edge up in the competition in life. So, taking a step back and saying, well, really I'm associating my mind with that, my mind will come to love that, need that. Look out at the world and see that. Someone once pointed out to me that, now this is a secret, pointed out to me a secret to find out what is going on in the mind of other people you meet. And it's an open secret, because the person will tell you themselves. Whatever a person notices about another person, suppose they notice their hairstyle, or they notice their buff physique, or whatever, they notice their knowledge. It means to say, most likely and most of the time, that is what the person thinks about for themselves more so. First, I have to be concerned with my knowledge and how much I know before I can have my radar on for other people. This one knows a lot, this one doesn't know a lot, this one sounds good, this one doesn't sound good. So that means to say, if I notice it in another, it means it's a big concern for myself. So people just reveal to you what their priorities and concerns and hang-ups and insecurities are just in chat. And I pick up those things also for who I spend time with. So it's tremendous. Satsang is tremendous. We can judge our children and our family members, and if you want to judge as a parent, you can judge based on who they choose to spend their time with. But in that, you have to be open-minded, because somebody might be a wicked person out in school, but your child might be associating with them not for their wickedness, but for something else. They're also funny or friendly or whatever. You have to look carefully and figure out what is that association all about. Yes, and it really is up to all of us to choose our association and to teach the next generation also. That is a choice. Who I spend my companionship with is a deliberate choice, and it is difficult, but now and then we have to learn how to let go of some friendships. In fact, in this regard, on a practical matter, to implement this, as we ourselves start to act out different interests, people around us start not choosing us. Like, if somebody comes to your house all the time and says, hey, let's go out for pizza, let's go out for pizza, let's go out for pizza. And you keep saying, no, I have something else to do another time. No, I have something else to do another time. Eventually what happens? They stop coming to ask you for pizza. So that's also important advice. If you really do want to go out with them for pizza, you better go and not prioritize something else, because the objects of the world, the demand, the supply chases demand. So all these things are associated a little. And like this, you can go on discussing anyone. The next one we studied was about making our devotion to Bhagavan firm. And we spent some time highlighting how in Sanatana Dharma, devotion demands thinking. Fanatic devotion, born of just belief, is not promoted in Sanatana Dharma and not required. We are not a religion that says, as long as you believe in XYZ, everything will be fine. Belief demands that you, at some point along the way, shortchange, stultify, turn off your thinking capacity. And that it in no way is compatible with Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma says that not that you must see, if you see bhaktir dadha dhiyatam, the person must have firm devotion. It doesn't mean now you have to force yourself to become some version of a bhakta that you see out in the world. And we spent time last session that we had, reflecting on all the ways a person who actually thinks deeply about the world comes to at least be in awe of the interconnectedness of things. And it is just a short step away from awe to gratitude. And then again, a short step away from gratitude to action. Deep thinking is required. And in fact, the more we open up our mind to the presence of one reality behind everything, the more things in our life appear to have a deeper meaning. So our thinking capacity grows with our development of our bhakti. It doesn't go down. If you have the assumption that, what is happening here in my country, or in my city, or in my home, is not in any way connected to what is going on in other countries, in other cities, in other homes, then your thinking capacity is stultified. But if a person can understand that what is going on here in my home is really a microcosm of what is going on out in the world, then when they look out in the world, they can see, oh, this same thing is happening at home. When we are negotiating for who is going to do the chores, the nation is also negotiating how they're going to spend funds. So, to study deeply the universal principles of the universe that pervade everything, and then one step more, to understand that each one of us have a personal relationship with those body of laws and in the universe, that is bhakti. Put simply and plainly and clearly, I hope, bhakti amounts to feeling love to all beings, in all circumstances. That vision of love, that is bhakti. It should not be restricted to any being or any circumstance. That is really the practice of dhrida bhakti. It is a wonderful journey, and it is one of those paths where the goal is love, and the path also requires love. So it is immediately satisfying. The more you practice it, the more you enjoy, and the more progress you make. And it is also a path that is free to anybody. The path of developing gratitude, appreciation, and looking more deeply into things is available to everybody. Can do that. But admittedly, we all start with very narrow and restricted love, and narrow and restricted thinking, superficial thinking about all things in the world. For example, the father who has been going out to work every day and has 2 jobs and doesn't see the young children. When he comes home, the children look at this strange man who enters and they feel frightened. What are you doing here? You see, I see video, at least it's in my algorithm, I see videos where the father hugs the mother, and then the puppy comes and he gets angry with that and he pulls the father away. This is my mother, you can't come and hug this lady. What are you doing here? Move, and puts himself in between. So it is a very, it is a sign of very immature or premature thinking that a puppy will be doing or a young child will be doing. They cannot see that, no, everything I have is here because this strange man who I've not met before has been out there working, and in his heart, he is sacrificing everything for me. So, in the circumstance of meeting somebody who doesn't actually put the food in my mouth, but puts the food on the table, that capacity is, you're capable of that extent, but that requires a bit of thinking. We have enough love in our heart for that person, it requires thinking. So to have restricted love, it is a sign of green bhakti. It is there, but it is, you can't enjoy it, it can't be used for anything, like a green banana. Well, in Guyana, the green banana and the green plantain are used for a lot of things actually. But you can't just readily eat it. You have to do so many things to it. Okay, this is about bhakti in a review way. Now comes Shantyadi Parichiyatam. This is a wonderful sadhana. Parichiyatam. The instruction is to choose, to make a choice, to accumulate, if you want to say, to develop, to collect, to engender something. So make that choice so you can accumulate, you can collect, you can engender, you can develop something. What is it? Shanti Adi. Peace, calmness, equilibrium, etc. The Adi is actually a bigger word, because in the Adi is a whole set of other things. And in other texts like Tattva Bodha, Vivekachudamani, it is described what all, Bhagavad Gita also in several different chapters, what all qualities should be there in the heart. What all gunas should be there. Good qualities, desirable things. Wealth, actually, it is called. It's very interesting that this Shanti Adi is, this step is about collecting wealth. So we are not against wealth. But as is told every Deepavali, Lakshmi Mata not only represents outer wealth, she also represents inner wealth. And we all should develop those qualities. Well, here it is being written again. And as a step in the sadhana, that we should develop those qualities. It is to be done by making the right choices. In a simple way, you have to make the right choices. And through this text itself, if you're staying just within the text, you will find that already through the advices given by Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, he would have been helping us develop all so many qualities. So you see, if you go back and see, it starts with Vedo Nityamadhiyatam and Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam. Same word, Vidhiyatam, is given there. That we should engage with the scriptures every day, that we should be in association with good people, which we just talked about. All that is to give one great quality to the mind, and that is called Viveka. They just inherent natural capacity to decipher between what is going to be helpful for me and what is not going to be helpful for me. What is true and lasting, and what is fleeting and apparent. What is going to bring freedom and what is going to bring bondage, what is going to cause fearlessness and what is going to cause fear, and all these types of things. The capacity to discriminate between things. You know, in university you hear all kind of wild things. And some of them were good, and I still remember them, and they come out in satsang also. One boy told me something. I remember exactly where in the steps also he told me. Now he was talking in a different context. He was looking out at the sea of people, and he was talking in a different context. But the message was so good. He said, he was Guyanese also. He said, man, you don't know the difference? Some does look nice from far, but are far from nice. That was his sentence. Nice from far, but far from nice. So not to be caught by the glitter and glamour of the world, and to be able to quickly discern what is good and what is not good. And the world actually plays nice games with us, because their job is to sell everything. Whatever they have, they want to sell it and mark it up. So there is a big emphasis in packaging. And the packaging now has become digital packaging. So there are teams of engineers and psychologists and scientists from all the top universities studying carefully how to package sounds and sights and ideas such that you will think it is valuable and invest your time and your eyes. Someone recently compared the slot machine, you know, you pull the lever like this. They compared the slot machine to the Facebook scroll like that, with the thumb. It's just that you use the thumb as instead of a lever, you use a thumb. And actually the whole scrolling exercise, based on the same principles. I used to wonder from afar how somebody could just spend all day putting coins in a machine and pull and then wait and pull, and they're just totally absorbed in that. I said, I don't understand. That slot machine is designed so well. You take a normal, ordinary person and they'll lose days playing the slot machine, waiting for the next thing to pop like that. I'm thinking that meanwhile I'm scrolling like this. Because it shows you, oh, and they know very well, this person doesn't like this. Let me give one of the things he doesn't like. Give me two things, now I'll give one he likes. Then, no, not again. And just keep them going for hours. They work on the same principle. Right. So, how we got to this slot machine. The idea is to be able to discern, you know, this thing is working just like I'm playing with a slot machine, I'm using my hand as a lever. That's how I'm spending my time. It's nice from far, but when you get up close, it's not nice. Like that. And throughout the rest of the text, so many other instructions have led to so many qualities. Atme cha vyavasiyatam, nijagrahaturanam vinirgamyatam. That the desire for real, true independence and freedom at all levels, from the fear of death, old age, emotional fears of being out of control or being lonely or being seen and rejected, and all the emotional worries we have, to be free from those things and to walk in the world vulnerable and available, whether you're respected or not. And then the freedom to think clearly. All of that. When those desires rise in the heart, atme cha vivasiyatam, you pursue it well. So that was the instruction, right? And when it does come, quickly get out of your comfort zone and pursue that thing. Nijakahat-turam vinirgamyatam. So that instruction, those two instructions were given, and that is nothing but developing the adi, the etc., the extra point about vairagya. So they give one word in scriptures called Vairagya, but it's being given as steps along the way. Shraddha, faith also, is a great, tremendous additional quality that is not listed but is included in the Adi. We should make those choices that develop Shraddha in our personality. Faith in Bhagavan, faith in my Guru, and his words of the scriptures, faith in the practice that they give, the scriptures give, faith in myself also. Faith is required to make this path successfully. And for the person who doubts, he doubts in such a way that he never gets knowledge. He doesn't doubt in such a way that he gets knowledge. He doesn't, not asking questions, but he just doubts. He doesn't have the capacity to grow from that. He will never gain on this path. Shraddha is essential. And in this regard, our Puja Swami Prakashanandaji at the end of every satsang, in the old days, after singing Tvameva Mata, you will hear, and he used to explain that, or before singing it, he used to explain that if Bhagavan were to pull away for a moment, we would cease to we would disappear into nothingness. We would cease to exist. That's very much connected to this Shraddha. Whatever power I have, whatever possibility will appear, whatever problem that comes, an obstacle that comes, it is all supported right here, right now, in the moment that it comes by Bhagavan. And we demonstrated that with an experiment right here, right now. We should prove that a few classes ago. Bhagavan's presence right here, right now. Should we prove it again? See, right here you're sitting on your chair, I'm sitting on this singhasan. And it is being upheld. Means your chair doesn't have power to uphold you all by itself. It has to be resting on something else. Correct or not? If you were sitting on that chair in space, you'd just be floating around. You might bump into the Tesla that is just also floating around in space. A car needs to be sitting on the road. A person needs to be sitting on the ground. The chair doesn't have power to support them and hold them up. Correct or not? So too, the ground has to have something the earth is suspended in something such that it's held together and doesn't float out into all its various parts. Correct or not? And they call that gravity. But that force of gravity in the law, that's sitting in what? Because it can't exist in nothing. So finally, when you get down to it, there will be something on which everything is sitting, resting. And the power of that to hold is what is allowing the earth to be held. And the power of that to hold is what is allowing the earth to hold up the chair, which is allowing the chair to hold up you. So right now as you sit, you are sitting right on the power of that final reality. Because nothing else along the way has any power to hold by itself. So you're sitting in God. And then every other power in the same way. The power to see, etc. So in the Upanishadic vision of Bhagavan, he is here. Now, I don't spend my attention in that regard. I have maybe not started to merge my day-to-day life and my competition and what I'm trying to do with that fact. But that is okay. At least I know that is there, and I'm working on bringing the two together. Like that. So this is Shraddha. I have faith. There's no situation where I'm away from God. The all-knowing, all-compassionate Lord of the universe. Shraddha. So this is the step. Choosing. Now, there's another point in this also. It is not practical for an adventurous young adult, for those who are listening, to choose only the sattvic, quiet, calm, balanced things. There is a natural urge in all of us to choose the rajasic thing. I mean, we can listen to bhajan, but people, after a little while, put in a little dhamaka, and then we'll go back to the bhajan. Right? And in between that, why don't we hear some gossip? What is going on with the, what you call, who is on the top 100 this time? Who got bumped out of it? And that kind of thing. Right. So the instruction here, beyond choosing the good things which we listed, is to also admit that, yes, if I have to choose and make a step away from the sattvic things, the noble things that bring wisdom and light and awareness in my life, at least we should choose one step down to rajasic. So, for example, if you have to choose between, but this is not, I don't want to say that. Suppose one day, we could go home and do our chores and all that. Or today we could go on an adventure, let's go for a hike or something. Waterfall hike. Do something adventurous, field trip. That is fine. But the advice would then be, don't make the leap from a sattvic life to tamas. Like you don't go from, okay, we'll go for a hike, to let's go jump out of a plane, just for the thrill of it, without all the necessary training and everything. Let's go for, so now you've taken the adventure to a tamasic degree where you're putting your life at risk. And the reason for that, which it might seem obvious, but it is not obvious when we're making our choices. The reason for that is because when we go to the tamasic level, we never know when we'll get a chance to get back to the sattvic level. It's very difficult to come back. So, and you have to think how many different ways we can make choices. Because it's not only in terms of what we listen to, and what we do, but it's also what we eat, correct or not? What we wear, what type of knowledge we gather. Like you are studying here something very sattvic, reflective. So this will bring peace, clarity, awareness, understanding, inspiration. But then you can also, after this, you can study, how to beat the other guy in your favorite game or your competition, how to win at all costs. And so that's something very rajasic, how to win. But you can also study how to destroy. And how to, I don't know how, but people study occult things. Voodoo, you can go study voodoo also. So there's all levels of things to study, right? So we advise that at least if you're going to choose one step, don't choose 2 steps down. So if you have sattvic food, like something that grows on a vine, like so many foods in Guyana are available like that. You have squash and bora and same, and so you have all that to eat. And they say, no, let's add something rajasic in the mix. So something with a kick, something spicy. But what would be advisable is don't now jump to something tamasic. Like yesterday's barsad, which is in the fridge. Or yesterday's food, which is sitting there. Because when we jump from sattvic to tamasic, it is difficult to get back to sattvic. Because then you feel unwell. Then you have to sleep more. Take medicine. That has to come out of your system. All to get back to eating ordinary food. Correct or not? So this is the thought pattern. If we're in a stage of tamas in our life, naturally we will be also. Everybody has a mix. The advice goes the other way also. To choose rajasic things first and then sattva. To move like that. Because it is too difficult to move from tamas to sattva. We'll be fooling ourselves only and we'll stay in tamas only. Just like you get up in the morning and you think, I think I'll do my breathing exercises and my meditation, my reflection right here from the bed itself. Right here from the... 2 seconds later you're asleep. So from the tamas of the bed, even though you might get a moment of clarity, you still jump out and get going. And then you come back to that moment of clarity. It has to go in progression. Alright. Then Bhagavan says, Dridataram karmashu santyajyatam. That a person must, so on the one hand you are taking up all the positive things, making such choices. Now on the other hand, firmly give up action. Action, karmashu. In action you should just drop it like a, or how you would imagine something, in cartoons something drops and becomes a flat pancake, slap, like that. So imagine I'm going to drop this thing so quickly and completely that when it's going to just flat pancake drop. That is how we should drop what? Karmashu, it says action. So all actions, I sit down and be lazy? No, already we've been given so many things to take up. Study the Vedas daily, do what is prescribed there, go to satsang, make all the right choices, think and develop bhakti for Bhagavan and have love for other people. So many other beings, so many instructions have been given. So then, what it means here is the contrary, opposed actions that we have in our life. At this stage, when you have a mix, and you have some contrary, opposed thing in your life, one important step is to drop it. Quickly, completely, totally, gone. Never to be picked up again. Drop it like that. Drop it like it's hot. That is the instruction. Now, dropping is always scary and hard. Especially if it is done without a little reflection. The dropping actually begins in the mind. We feel dropping is scary because we imagine dropping is something you do physically, and then in the mind, you're still itching for that thing. So we foresee, I'll suffer emotionally if I don't have my comforts with me. The dropping actually begins in the mind. And the dropping will basically boil down to, as we said, unconducive things. Means what? It means selfish things. The dropping of just pure, raw, selfish activities. But how? I don't think in my lifetime I will ever give up my desire to sit back, lock the gate, close the drapes, turn on the AC, forget about everybody and everything and eat chocolate cake. That is my dream. Lie in the hammock and eat chocolate cake. I don't think I have to drop that. I'll never have a day where I can sit back and do nothing and forget everybody and forget everything. And live like I live on an island. Forget my responsibilities for a while and go all inclusive on my desires. I can't have that. So this is the fear. This sort of fear is there, right? So actually the response is that it is not a forced thing. It won't work also. The dropping has to be actually a change in the desire. So let the desire change itself from being selfish to selfless. As opposed to, you have this desire, drop it. Forget about it. It is transforming that desire. And now I desire something selfless. And I drop entertaining this selfish desire. Once it's weak enough, I drop it and I just So, and it will go in stages, you know, you'll give up criminal things, then you'll give up immoral things, unethical things, unhelpful things, and then selfish things also, like that. This is what has to be done. Now, how is that to be done exactly? It means whenever considering an action, I start considering the benefits to others. That is actually being selfless, as opposed to just considering the benefits to myself. That is all it is boiling down to. So if I'm going to, they just had Christmas Village here in Ghana. If I'm going to the Christmas Village to spend some money, one thought in my head could be, well, how do I get there, and how do I get the best price, and how am I going to get the best thing to eat and all that. But I can still go to the Christmas Village, but have also, I'm saying also, not only, also have in my mind the idea that, well, I'm bringing some money with me, and I'm going to spend it so all these vendors get some benefit. I'm looking to give a benefit to society by spending my money. So that is also a very important factor of consideration in my mind when I go to spend. Who's going to get the benefit? And I'm not looking at all to see that I get recognized for giving them the benefit. I'm just going to make sure that whatever I do, there is a proper effort and calculation to see that there's going to be a benefit to others. And this you can translate into anything. We're studying all different things. For all those who are studying, now Guyana has come up with free education and free online masters and PhDs and all that, so the nation can become more educated. And many people will be thinking, okay, well, if I get this, then I can qualify for that, and that's the base salary and all that type of thing. That will be counterproductive for spiritual growth. The same action can be done thinking, how will this additional knowledge make me more equipped to serve society? Put me in a better position to help others. So that is a key factor that should be there in the mind, like that. The other thing that we can think about to help drop the other side of it, what will I get? What will I get? It has come before also, so maybe not spend too much time on it, is looking at the defects of that whole way of thinking. The famous line is that a rat who wins a rat race is still a rat at the end. And so the scriptures are saying, you don't get out of the rat race, but emotionally you get out of the rat race. Means I still wonder what am I going to get out of it, but emotionally my calculation is I want to, as a result of this action, I should come off the treadmill a little bit. What do you mean come off the treadmill? See, when we're out there doing selfishly, that means, for example, in my heart, my inner rat is running on the treadmill of becoming more well respected. So I'm on that race. Or I want to become more well loved. Or I want to become more capable. And so in my own heart, I feel that I will be, and see the other side of that. This is why I'm a rat. The other side of what makes me a rat. I feel to avoid feeling worthless, incapable, unrespectable, unlovable. To avoid that, to protect myself from that, I'm there running on the race. So that's a feeling that is in the heart. So my heart is doing a race. So to come out of that is what is being advised. Meaning to say, see how radical a shift is required. In my own heart, like get off the treadmill. Get off the treadmill means what? I am ready to admit fully, maybe I am not respectable. What are the other ones? Maybe I'm not capable. Maybe I'm not lovable. Because the mind is saying you're not lovable enough. Change the way you look and how people think of you and how many followers you have. Emotionally, I'm talking, not actually in the world outside. Emotionally, okay, suppose, now this is radical, huh? Suppose I'm not lovable enough. So get off that rat race. Suppose I'm 100% unlovable and unrespectable. I'm okay with that. How could you be okay with that? So this is the whole spiritual evolution. Leave that rat race. Actually, for a person who gives up, acknowledges they are what they are, and they're not going to try and spend their life trying to become something else. That person, at that very moment that they make that proclamation or admittance, without any fear or resistance, and that's the hardest part, that person suddenly becomes more alive, more available, more authentic, more present, more free to be effective. And immediately that effectiveness should be poured out in doing something for others. That person actually becomes the most respectable, ironically, the most lovable. So this is a spiritual journey that has to go on the inside. I hope to give a bit of what I can imagine is the psychology of it in modern language, but really what is said here in simple language is becoming more selfless in my action. And do it well. Don't do it half-heartedly. Do it so well that you got off the treadmill so much that the treadmill is finished, cannot be used again. This sort of thing is there. Then, having given up unconducive actions, like this, through reflection, slowly, what should we do? Sadvidvan upasripyatam. Seek some guru in your life. And go and surrender to that guru. This has been a point of contention in my household since I was a little boy. And I have heard it again and again among Guyanese, the Caribbean community at large. What is the need for a guru? There is no need for a guru. I've heard, I can't count how many times I have heard, I have studied the scriptures myself. It's usually actually preceded by another statement. So-and-so is an engineer, so-and-so is a doctor, so-and-so is of this great thing, academic stature, and they have studied the scriptures themselves. And now we want to hear what they have to say, because they must have learned something super. And they must know the scriptures very well, because they're a doctor. Like that. But would you feel comfortable getting on a plane by a pilot who says, I have studied flying all by myself, and prior to this I was a Michelin chef, an engineer, and medical doctor. So you please feel safe as we take you up now to 30,000 feet. You'll feel comfortable getting in that flight? No chance. Or you go to spend a night at somebody's house and they give you the same spiel, but instead of being pilot, they say, oh, I learned carpentry myself from YouTube videos. So I have laid all the concrete, cast it, and put up, this 10-story building and put a nice spot for you on the top floor. When the winds come and the rains come, you'll feel comfortable? No. So inherently, everybody appreciates that being a self-studied person is terribly risky. So if a simple thing like, relatively simple thing like carpentry, actually it's not so simple, huh? But if carpentry, flying a plane, or any other thing, food also, if you're a little nervous to participate in that, why would you hand over the most esoteric and highest science, where you don't have any help from any of your senses, over to somebody who read a few things? In fact, Really, the thinking response should be the moment you hear somebody say, I've studied this all myself and now I'm going to tell you what I think, you should run away. You should be frightened. The need of a guru is, in scriptures, is not something that can be replaced. The scriptures also tell who is a qualified guru. Who's qualified? In Bhagavad Gita, Jnaninaha Tattvadarsinaha, 2 qualities are given. And in Mundaka Upanishad, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, the same 2 qualities are given in other words. What is that? First of all, Shrotriyam, a real Vidvan, Sadvidvan, a person who knows the reality, a guru, Mahatma who knows the reality, is one who first of all is totally conversant with all of this Shastra. Means he knows or she knows properly and thoroughly the real purport and meaning of the scriptures and what all the scriptures have to say. And that means to say, question now, is ChatGPT Shrotriya? Because if you put some of the greatest teachers next to a simulated intelligence, and you go point for point now, okay, say this shloka, now say this shloka, now say that shloka, and you do it all night, ChatGPT will win. Correct or not? So Shrotriya does not mean that you can reference and answer and all that type of thing alone. More essentially, it means that that individual, the meaning of those shlokas, they have manifested in their life. If ChatGPT were to live by all the Advaita Vedanta that it knows, they would have no worry about agents and what will happen and will the robots come back and take everybody's life, and they would have no worry. Because all the knowledge it has about truth and Brahman and Dharma, it will be manifest in its answers. But you could immediately ask it a question about Brahman, and then the next thing you could ask it something so terrible, like some news has come out about what it can do recently, you will be knowing. And in the same breath it will give that also. So it doesn't meet the test of Shrotriya. It's just a library of information. Because there are many people now who I meet who tell me, no, I don't need a guru, I just check ChatGPT. So and then as another point in that regard, the AI and all that is just repeating what it has available online. And when it comes to scriptures, most of the information is not available online. The knowledge is there in saints and sages, is not there online. Just a few things are there on YouTube and that kind of thing. The depth of it. Very nicely to summarize this thing, one person went to Gurudev and asked, but Gurudev, I have the explanation of the Upanishad here with me in my hands. Why do I need a guru? Gurudev in one shot answered, ask the book that. If you have a question and the book can't answer, what will you do? Shrotriya. They know the scriptures, the real essence of it, and they have brought it to that knowledge to manifest in their life. Then Brahmanishta means that person is really anchored in Brahman. Or that is at least that person's one and only purpose, goal, obsession in life. Brahman. That's all they see, think about, know, or they realize that Brahman. Brahmanishta, anchored in that reality. This person alone is a Sadvidvan. To that individual, we should find them if you can find them. And surrender. To find such an individual is not easy. It's one of the great blessings of life. And so people worry then, but how will I find such a person? The previous immediate requirement, or not requirement, instruction, is the best way. Where there is demand, there will be supply. So where we go on developing Shanti, Adi in our own self, all the inner qualities, the universe will bend to make sure the appropriate guru comes to you. So you stay right where you are and develop those qualities. Like that. Then pratidinam, daily, a person should upasripyatam, serve him. I wanted to add one other point. There are many people who use scriptures. This is a proof that somebody's not Shrotriya. Use scriptures for another purpose. Even if it's something subtle, like being well known. Or money. Use scriptures for all sorts of things. Or to sell you on whether or not, what will happen for you through Jyotisha. Give me so much money, I'll tell you what is going to happen later on this year, in your year, and all that. So be extremely wary of gurus. Our Puja Swami Chinmayanandaji used to stroke his beard like that and say, the longer the beard, as he's stroking it, he will say, the greater should be your suspicion. Like that. They say in the States that a sucker is born every moment. So to find a real guru is a great blessing. Or at least each person, because we started off by saying you should not pick up scraps and bits. Each person must find themselves in some sampradaya, long established teaching. Because within Sanatana Dharma there are so many. And study that thing, that one sampradaya systematically and well. That is also a great path to bring out that living guru to you. Study it systematically, study it well, belong to one sampradaya, and then we save ourselves from the problem of being a self-made, well-confused, what you call, ChatGPT sourced Pandita or Pandit. Such people all should be wary of. Study systematically, study well, and find yourself belonging in Sampradaya. And if you when that Guru comes, you serve him pratidinam, daily. One boy went to a Guru and asked, Guruji, Gurudev, what service is required for you in this ashram? And so the Guru softly said, well, there are many things to do. In the morning you can go to the river and get water for my bath. And what else? Well, you could heat up that water if you want. Oh, what else? Well, while the fire is running, you could make some chai. I like chai. Oh, what else? Well, after that, you can make some food, clean up the kutia. What else, Guruji? Well, those clothes that I wore during the day, you could wash them. I only have 2 sets. If we're going satsang, you can press them for me. And then the boys are, get up, water, chai, cook, clean, wash clothes, press. The boy asked the Guru, Guruji, is there any way I could be the Guru? You be the disciple? So, seva, daily to serve the Guru. It brings all kinds of thoughts to our mind. So really the question has to be asked. 2 things I think we could see in this. Oh, time is gone. Service to the Guru. It is a most powerful and essential method. And over the week, maybe everybody can reflect on how it works. Taking as inspiration the story of Eklavya, who remotely served his Guru, having only a statue that he made of Dronacharya, and through that became the best archer. Sadhana of seva is tremendous. So leave it here and pick up next week, beginning with seva. Now I'll log off on Facebook. Those who are joining online, we can have a chat. Any questions, ideas, we can share. Those who would like to join online, you please on Zoom, you please do send a message for any questions, etc. Okay, Hari Om everyone.